Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 4th episode of my Guild Wars 2 series. In this episode I'll be going over the Ascalonian Catacombs from a thief's perspective. I won't go over the trash too much because that shouldn't be that much of a problem. However, I find the Ascalonian Catacombs a pretty hard dungeon if you're just starting off with Guild Wars. It's not exactly a welcoming dungeon if you don't know what to do yet. However, if you have a group of people that know what they're doing, it shouldn't be much of a problem. First thing I would advise, use communication. You can call out targets by pressing a certain key combination. I've bound this to Shift T. This way I can easily press the buttons while fighting. Once a target is called out, the group will know to attack that target and can take down mobs easily. Apart from the bosses, there are like 3 tricky parts to this dungeon. The first one is the room with the spike traps. You need to cross the room and pull the chain on the other side of the room in order to stop the spike traps from activating. The second thing is the room with the fire spitters. You can kill these fire spitters to keep you and your team from burning to death, and so you shoot as fast as possible. The third thing is the gate. There's a gate which requires pressure on the plate to keep it open. You need someone from your team to get a boulder and place it on there, or you won't be able to make it through the gate with your whole team. Now for the bosses. When you find air, you'll need to take out the Ascalonian lieutenant and its small army of ghosts. This fight can actually be pretty difficult, as there are a lot of trash mobs to take care of. In this fight it's particularly important to call out targets, so your group can take out one target quickly instead of each one fighting its own war. Use a lot of AoE, make sure you res each other. Apparently the trick to deal with the rangers is to use melee instead of distance. This will keep them from using traps. Not particularly important for this boss, but just dungeons in general. Make sure you have some supportive utility skills and not just damage improving skills. For my thief I use Shadow Refuge. This is extremely handy when someone from your team is downed and still has aggro. You can lay down the stealth area on top of your downed ally, hiding him from the enemy, and then, while you both stealth it, you can start resing him. The first real boss is Master Ranger Nente. As his name already suggests, he will mainly use ranged attacks and a few AoE attacks. However, during the fight there are 2 moments where he will leave his platform and start chasing people and smacking them with his hammer. During this phase he will also summon a ghost wolf. If you have no way of fighting Master Ranger Nente with distance fighting except for the boulders laying around, you can access his platform by a small plank that's bridging the gap from his platform to the outer ledge. This boss is rather easy. Make sure you stay off his AoE, usually made visible by red rings on the ground. Try to dodge as many arrows as possible. During the melee phase, kite him around and get rid of the ghost wolf, as it can deal out pretty decent damage. As soon as you're done with the ranger, Keisha Blackblood will be ready to die. Unfortunately, my FRAPS client crashed during the fight, so I have no footage of killing her. The good thing is that she's rather easy, so I'll just explain. You have to make sure everybody is in the room when you start the fight, or else people will be left out and will not be able to enter the room during the fight. The most important thing to remember during this fight is to keep moving. This will prevent her from putting too many effects on you. The other thing is to let one person in your group kill as many adds as possible. This will keep the incoming damage for your group to a minimum. If you have a necromancer or a mesmer or someone else that can remove condition from people, let them do it. It makes the fight that much easier. Apart from that, there's not much to it. On to the next boss, the lovers Relina and Vassar. This is the trickiest fight of this dungeon as far as I'm concerned. I think Relina was an overly attached girlfriend during her Ascalonian life, so their clinginess still remains after their deaths. The trick to this fight is to keep those lovebirds apart from each other and to make sure you don't fight while you have a confusion debuff on you. Especially the latter is rather important, as it is easily overlooked, usually causing you to die. When you have a confusion debuff on you, you take damage when you're using skills. The worst part of this confusion is it can stack, causing even more damage. Keeping these lovers apart is rather easy. There are plenty of boulders laying around, which you can use to knock one of them down and kite the other one away. They can also be feared, which cause them to run away from each other. Once you killed one of them, the fight is pretty much over, as one of these lovers alone is not too much of a challenge. Last but not least, King Adelburn. This fine gentleman deals massive AoE damage. You should beware of his faux fire, which he drops on the ground, and even more for his binding blade. This attack pulls all nearby players towards him. Once you regain control of your character, get the fuck out of there. He will use a massive AoE attack that can knock down a lot of your health if you don't dodge it. The good thing about this fight is that the resurrection point is next to the fight, so if you get killed, you can quickly revive at the resurrection point. Once you killed the king, you'll be rewarded with a nice amount of experience, as well as probably your first piece of exotic gear. In my case, it was the nice pimp hat you've seen me wearing during the whole dungeon. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be the end of this episode. If you've liked what you've seen, please give it a like, and if you would like to see more in the future, remember to subscribe. I also appreciate it if you leave a comment down below, but of course that's totally up to you. I also have a Twitter and a Facebook account, so if you're interested you can follow me or like the page. I always give a heads up when I release a new video, and I also update about other random stuff. If you haven't already, you can check out these two videos. The first one is a little machinima I made about my engineering Guild Wars 2. The second one is me playing Tibia and explaining how I hunt in the Orc Fortress. Man, I can't remember how many times I've said that sentence. I really should make a new Tibia movie. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've been Moranah and I will see you next time.